Good morning. It's an effort between the city and the Livable Cities Initiative, which is an agency here in New Haven that focuses on bettering neighborhoods. And together they're launching a new program to help people who may be struggling to pay their rent or their mortgage because of the COVID-19 pandemic. The program is called CASTLE, and it stands for Coronavirus Assistance and Security Tenant Landlord Emergency Program. It's going to help income-eligible New Haven renters and landlords who have faced housing insecurity because of COVID-19. And the goal is to help those people avoid eviction or foreclosure. And just yesterday, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention announced it's going to be broadening nationwide protections against eviction by putting a temporary halt on them through the end of this year. That move protects renters who meet certain conditions and can prove that they've made every effort to either try to pay rent or to seek assistance for paying rent. And here in Connecticut, Governor Lamont also recently extended the eviction moratorium until October 1st, so there is some help coming for some renters and some homeowners. Details on the program here in New Haven are going to be announced here at the New Haven Opportunity Center along Dixwell Avenue at about 10 o'clock this morning, so we're going to be bringing you those updates live on air and online. Live in New Haven, Gabby Molina, Fox 61 News.